So non-resident mortgages here in the UAE. I wanted to bring this video with Warren here. Hi Warren, thanks so much for agreeing to have a little video chat with me. So you've been in mortgages here in Dubai for 20 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. Originally doing mortgages in the UK. He's my go-to for all of you, my clients who are looking to borrow money, whether you're a resident or a non-resident. So this video will be for non-resident mortgages, and then we're going to do another video straight after for resident mortgages, because there are lots of things in place that are different. So questions over to you. How much can they borrow if they're not living here and they're not a resident, first of all?
Okay, so typically lending's available up to 60%.
Right, okay.
For non-resident applicants. There is one or two options where it can go to 70% if the client's not going to use it for their own purposes. It's just going to be on a long-term rental contract.
So this is for a property that they're purchasing and it's straight away going into long-term rental, not Airbnb.
Exactly, yeah. Long-term rentals will be stipulations from the bank to demonstrate that.
Right, okay. And then everybody has this question for me, so hopefully you can answer it. So imagine that people want to buy a property that's not ready yet. Can they get a mortgage when it's an off-plan property?
Yes, it is possible.
Okay.
But it's determined by the structure of the payment plan, basically.
Okay, right.
The first 50% has to go in by the client, which is a central bank rule.
Yeah.
And only the second 50% can be financed, basically.
So, okay, so let's say somebody is buying a property and there's a 70-30 payment plan. So they pay 70% before handover. You're saying that you can get them a mortgage as long as they pay the first 50% of that.
Or the 20% can be financed during construction, and then the 30% will be paid on handover by the bank.
Right, okay. So I guess case by case scenario, it's probably best to get in touch with me. I can put you together and then you can sit with him and explain, you know, how it's going to work for you. But it is possible.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So just can you talk us through as well the documentation? Like what is it that you're going to need for a non-resident mortgage?
For a non-resident case, the typical ways of doing it is a low document method, which is the simple way. And what the banks are looking for here is your last 6 months personal bank statement.
Okay.
Some banks will work on 3, but best to have a look at 6 and then we can look at all options.
Okay.
And they're looking at the average running balances across that period.
Right.
Matching the bank's minimum limits, which is typically sort of 25,000 dirhams equivalent.
Okay.
And they'll take an average running balance across that period.
Okay, great.
And that's what they use to define what the monthly mortgage repayment would be and how much you can borrow. It's quite simple.
Yep.
And then the only other ancillary thing is they would look at is if you're a business owner, how long has your business been operating?
Okay. Yep.
If you're salaried, how long have you been salaried? It's quite simplistic. That's the low doc method, which is the one that's predominantly used by most.
And you said actually it can be more countries than one, right? So did you say
the
that?
income can be shown from more than one jurisdiction. Yeah.
Right, okay. That's really helpful to know because I know a lot of you often ask me about what documents you need if you're not a resident yet here in the UAE. A resident, by the way, we define as having an Emirati visa or a residence card, okay? So let me ask you, how long does it take for them to get their approvals for a mortgage if they're non-resident, and do they need to be in country?
Okay, so depending on the status of the client, what the situation it is, it could be as quick as 4 or 5 days, or typically it's a 15 working day.
15 days?
15 working days to get a pre-approval. So people need to plan in advance. Don't arrive and try and do it and look at property at the same time because it'll become very frustrating.
Right.
Get pre-approved before you come in and you can start showing them when they're ready to go. That's the best way to do it.
Okay.
From end to end, it will typically take 5 to 7 weeks depending on the situation.
Okay, but that's quite normal. So when you're purchasing a property in Dubai, I always advise my clients that a mortgage takes 45 to 60 days anyway. So just to clarify, so what you're saying is if someone doesn't live in the country, they don't, at what point do they actually have to be here in person to sign something?
It would literally just be at the execution stage at the end where you're signing the contracts with the banks.
To purchase the property?
To purchase, yes. And if they were coming in, you as the agency could arrange sort of a POA to do the latter bit at the end. So literally come in, sign.
So it's on transfer day?
Not transfer notes, because you have to come in, you would sign the mortgage offer letter. Then you would need that to go and do certain other matters with booking the transfer, so there will be a window. depending on the level of loan you want, there could also
Yeah.
be a medical.
Okay.
But if it's below 5 million, it's unlikely that it would require any sort of
So
medical.
under 5 million, no medical. Above 5 million, medical, meaning what, blood test?
Yes,
Or
because the bank
pill?
require life insurance here as well.
Yes.
So
Okay.
as a mandatory in most cases.
Okay.
So you come in, do that, and we orchestrate all that in advance to make sure it's a smooth process. And
Okay.
the least time on the ground as
Yeah.
possible if that's
Yeah.
what the requirement is.
Okay, great.
Or come and have a
other-
holiday for a week.
I was going to
Nice.
say, I don't think anyone's going to complain about coming to Dubai and just chilling on the beach while obviously paperwork's going through, right? So, but you don't pay for their holiday.
Unfortunately not, no.
I'm sorry, we don't pay for your holiday, but we will find you a beautiful property, so it's completely worth it. Okay, that's great. So, interest rates, we all want to know, what are the interest rates for a non-resident?
Okay, so rates for non-resident can be as low as sort of 4.6
Yep.
at the moment, going up to about 6.5, just
Right.
depending on which bank,
Okay,
type of status, self-employed, salaried, lots of parameters.
Okay.
We've got access to all of those
Okay,
in
great.
one place, and we can define that pretty
so
quickly.
4.6% is your lowest at the moment. Okay, and then in terms of what types of properties are you lending to non-residents? So non-residents, what are you seeing in the market that most people coming in are non-residents are taking loans for?
Typically, we're seeing the higher value properties
Okay.
get financed now, because I think that's a show of the interest rates here are low comparatively to
Yep.
the places which traditionally have lower rates in here. So
Yep.
people are seeing value for money.
Yeah.
But it's a strong market across the whole range really,
Yeah.
with finance buyers.
You're seeing everything. You were saying to me, like from townhouses 3 million all the way to mansions 80 million, right?
Absolutely, and multiple property
Yeah.
purchases where people
Yeah.
sort of establishing portfolios as well.
Right, so even people that are looking to buy like floors or buildings, you can also help them do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and of course it's a case by case scenario. So the best thing is get in touch on the description below of this video to my number. We'll put you in touch, create an appointment, and obviously you can have a chat further. Okay, so I'm just thinking, any other questions that I have? Oh yes, what are your fees? What do you charge to help a client get their non-resident mortgage?
Non-resident transaction is typically 5,000 dirhams.
Okay.
So
Yep.
it's pretty inexpensive in most cases.
Yep.
And if there's nothing charged up front,
Okay.
it's only on success,
Yep.
getting you exactly what you wanted.
So you're working for free until you prove that you're successful.
Exactly, so it's very open.
We love him.
and, clear.
Okay, great. And that's how it should be, right? We do the same. Nobody pays anything until it's done, dusted, and they've had the customer service.
Absolutely.
And you know, I've been working with Warren for what, 12 years. So you are in very good hands here. So that's the end of this video for non-residents. If you've put this video on by mistake and you are a resident, look for the next video that is called Residence Mortgages. Thank you so much for watching, and we are here to help. I always have the support that you need to take you right the way through a process of purchasing a property here in the UAE. Thanks for watching. Take care.